Hey, this is Mr. Brown. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how to use Kahoot in your classroom. The big things, they do have a pro version that is $3 a month and a premium version that is $6 a month. I have never used either one of those. I've usually just used the basic one in the classroom. The one thing that is interesting is the premium version is supposed to have distant learning tools. So like right now I'm making this en route for the coronavirus, so that may be more interesting. But as far as use in the classroom, I've always just used the basic version, and it's been very beneficial for me to use. So I'm going to go to that and show you what it looks like. And the biggest thing about Kahoot while it's loading is that students love it. It is very engaging. They get into it. It's competitive. So that's really cool and really important. You've got the options to like host a Kahoot. I'm just going to show you like the homepage. If I can get there. You also have the option to go and discover new Kahoots. So like if you're looking for a Kahoot, so like I teach social studies. So I'm going to look NCFE, North Carolina Final Exam, right? And we'll look at world history and see if anything comes up. All right, so there's even an NCFE World History Review. There's actually a couple of different ones that people have titled it like that and made it. So like this one's all terms, so this would be all vocab. I can click on that. And the one thing to do, if you can use one of these that's already made, you can also make your own, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. But if you notice, you can always go in and check, and you can look at the questions, and you can also click up here to show answers. And you can make sure that the answers are right and that it's what you want, which is really nice. And make sure that, somebody didn't make one and make something inappropriate, because anybody could have made these. So you always want to check this out before you use it in your classroom. And also, this one's 38 questions, which that means it's going to be a longer game. You may not be wanting to do something that's that long, so you may want to shorten it, and that's also an option. This is great to use at review at the end, but even at the end of a unit, or even you could do a quick. I've done some that are like 5 questions at the end of a lesson before as like an exit ticket type thing. There's a lot of different ways you can use Kahoot, and like I said, one of the biggest things is it's really engaging for students. You can even duplicate it. If you hit the 3 dots right over here, you can duplicate it and say, okay, I want to make a copy of this, and then you can edit it to be how you want it to be. You can even do a preview and just look at it. And you also have this button here, which will allow you to favorite the Kahoot, and that'll just save it for you. And I'm actually going to do that for this one because it looks decent. So like notice it'll pop up. I've just added that to my favorites. Okay. I can also go if I click on the Cahoots tab, it'll go to my Cahoots, so I can see the ones that I've made, as well as I can go over here and click on what I favorited, or even some that have been shared for me. And they even now have a thing where you can have drafts where you're working on one, which is nice as well. It's like I've got one that it says I started about 2 months ago, and I guess I just made one question and didn't do anything else with it. So I'm gonna make a brand new one. I'm gonna go top right. All you gotta do is hit create once you're under Cahoots, and it's gonna give you some different options. If you have, you can go like there's a teach with slides thing, which I think is new, and they've got some different templates that you can use. I'm just going to use the new Kahoot and create that because that's what I'm used to. They have updated some of these things, but this is what I'm used to, and this is what works pretty well. And so you start with your question. So I may go, what is Kahoot? Right, and then I can go and I can have my different answer choices, and this could be whatever you want it to be. So this could be, all right, we're going to go A, and that's the correct answer, and then B, and that is not correct, and C. And one thing you can do is have multiple correct answers if you want to. Because of the way the game's played when they actually do it, I don't recommend doing a Kahoot with anything other than one correct answer, because the points are kind of based on getting the right answer in the right amount of time. And so just kind of the way it works out, the way the games are played, I like doing one right answer. And then that's also what they're going to see on their final exams is only one right answer. So I think for the most part, getting them in that mindset is probably the best way to go about it. You can now adjust the points. Used to, they were all the same, but so you can make points have different value if you would like. And then the time limit's important because you don't want to give them too much time, but you also want the game to move along while they have enough time. So picking your right time limit is very important as well. You can go up to 2 minutes now. You can do as few as 5 seconds, but whatever you think, depending on the question. The other thing with this that may make it a little more challenging is you are limited in your character count for your questions and your answer choices. You still get 120 characters is all you get for your question, which makes it a little more challenging. And you get 75 characters for your answer choices. One of the things you could do if you want to do it is kind of have printed questions to get around this. If you have a passage, maybe they've read the passage, and you've got the questions printed out there, and then it's just the answer choices if you want to do it, or something like that. There are workarounds to this. You can add images or videos. So sometimes I'll have the image is the question if I need it to be a little bit longer and have like a paragraph that they need to read for it or something. So there are workarounds to that, but that is one that the character limit is probably the one thing that I really don't like as well about this. But for the most part, this is a really fun thing for them to do. The last thing I want to show you real quick is kind of how to set up the actual game. Once you get there into the game, it's going to be very self-explanatory to run through it. But I'm going to go and look at favorites and try to pull that one that I just used. Here we go. Okay. So if I wanted to go to this one, and I can click on it, and I actually could have hit play earlier, but all you got to do is hit play. You can do like create a challenge where you're just playing it, but for student engagement, hosting live is great. And the cool thing about this, if you're one-to-one, it's really easy to do. But even if you're not, if for something like this, if you can get permission to let them use their phones or something for this activity, that way they can all have a device that works. Or even you can have them in like pairs. If you don't have enough devices, you can have them partner up and use it. But this works fine with them on their phone if they have to do it like that to play the review game. But whatever works best for you in your classroom. But obviously, if you're one-to-one, then that kind of takes care of itself. So I'm going to show you what the host live looks like. And you've got several options, and I just want to go over these because they're important. They do have that team mode, again, for shared devices, or you can even just call it the classic mode, and that still works. Then they could just still share a device, so it doesn't really matter. I always hit the drop-down box under game options and make sure that I'm looking at these. So the big thing is that I like to use is the friendly nickname generator, and it will basically give them an animal and an adjective to describe that animal. So you're getting things that they're different, and I think they can spin the wheel and get like 3 random choices. And then they're finally stuck with one, but it prevents them from putting inappropriate nicknames in, and you just don't have to worry about that at all. If you trust them, you can kick them out. If one pops up, you can kick that name off. But it's easier just to say, hey, let's do this friendly nickname thing. They have a lobby music option, and they now have several. It used to just be the one Kahoot music. Now they have some options. And then I usually randomize the order of questions and the order of answers, because sometimes when I'm making it, especially with the answer choices part, I may not do a good enough job of mixing that up anyways, and it gives you replayability. So sometimes I may play a game twice or something with a group of kids to review, especially if we don't really do well the first time. And one of the things with that is you get immediate feedback on the screen of how well your students did. And obviously, if they all got it right, there's no need to stop and talk about it. But if, only 25% of them got it right, well, that's the same statistics of getting it right as guessing, right? So that gives you an opportunity to be like, okay, we didn't do well on this one. Let's stop and let's talk about this and make sure we understand it, which is why, especially if it's a shorter game, like 5 questions, it's like, hey, let's go back. We really struggled with this. but I talked about it. Let's go back and replay it again to really reinforce and make sure that they got it before you moved on. But that's also where randomizing the order of the questions and the answer choices will help with that. You can set it to automatically move through the questions. I'm not a big believer in that. And the reason why is, like I just said, that way you can stop and talk about it. Okay. So I do believe moving on. And even if they've all answered or they're going too slow, you can kind of speed up the game if you need to, or then again, slow it down to talk about it, whatever's best for you. Okay. The sort of last thing I'm just going to show you, once you hit the screen, this does need to be projected so they can see the game pin. You can now hear the music. I'm going to turn it down, but that is the Kahoot music you hear playing in the background. And the pins there, they go to Kahoot.it, and they type in that pin, and then their names will pop up there once they're all in, and it does give you a count right up here. So once you have the number of students that you have in the room logged in, you're ready to go. This is some basic ways to use Kahoot in your classroom. I hope that it was useful for you, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.